The space station floated quietly in deep space, far from Earth. Its name was Orion 7. Many ships came and went from this station. One of them was a small cargo ship called the Echo Hawk. Jake, the ship's engineer, stood inside the engine room. He was tall, in his late 30s, with tired eyes and messy hair. He had been fixing machines for 15 years. But this time, something strange was happening. Jake looked at the fuel gauge. It was dropping again. "No way," he whispered. "This can't be right." The fuel tank was losing energy. Every morning, it showed less fuel. But there were no signs of a leak, no wet floor, no smell, no pipe damage. Nothing. He had checked everything twice. Jake rubbed his forehead. His captain had warned him yesterday. "One more drop like that," the captain had said, "and I'll have to ground the ship. We can't afford invisible problems." Jake walked around the engine room slowly. The soft humming of machines filled the air. He touched every pipe, every valve. All systems were green. He sighed and opened his small toolkit. Suddenly, his wrist device beeped. "Fuel dropped by 2%, the AI voice said. "Loss rate increasing." Jake froze. "Right now?" he asked. "Yes, active loss in progress." His heart beat faster. The leak was happening this very moment while he stood right there. He looked around sharply. But where? He said to himself. He pulled out a small scanner and waved it through the room. Nothing. He crouched down and checked under the pipes. Still nothing. Then he remembered something. 2 nights ago, he had seen a flicker of movement on the engine room camera. Just a blur like a shadow. He had thought it was just a glitch. But now, he wasn't so sure. Jake stood up straight. His eyes narrowed. "Maybe it's not a leak," he said slowly. "Maybe it's something else." That night, Jake didn't go home. He turned off the main lights and hid behind a storage unit in the engine room. The ship was silent. Only the soft hum of the power core filled the air. He waited. 1 hour passed. Nothing. 2 hours. Still nothing. He checked the fuel gauge on his wrist again. It was normal. Suddenly, drip. He heard a soft drip sound, then a strange slurping noise. Jake's eyes widened. He peeked out from behind the storage unit. In the darkness, near the main fuel pipe, something was moving. A shape, small, thin, not human. It crouched near the pipe and moved its hands like it was drinking. Jake's mouth went dry. The figure was glowing slightly. A pale blue light came from its skin. Its body was smooth, almost shiny, and its hair floated gently like it was underwater. Jake held his breath. He reached for his flashlight slowly. The figure raised its head. Its eyes glowed white in the dark. Click. Jake turned on the flashlight. And the space was empty. Nothing there. No glowing figure, no sound. Just the fuel pipe, quiet and untouched. Jake stood up slowly. He walked to the spot where the creature had been. There was a faint handprint glowing. Just for a second, then gone. He looked up. The ceiling vent was open. No way. He whispered. He quickly checked the fuel gauge again. It had dropped 4%. The next morning, Jake didn't say anything to the captain. He told no one. Instead, he installed hidden cameras in the engine room. He also placed motion sensors and temperature readers. He wanted to catch it, whatever it was. That night, he watched the camera feed from his tablet in bed. Nothing happened. For hours. Then, around 3:11 a.m., the motion sensor beeped. Camera 3 lit up. There, it was blurry, but real. A small figure crawling on the wall like a spider. Its body shimmered like liquid metal. It moved to the pipe, touched it gently, and again drank the fuel. Jake stared at the screen. Shocked. The figure turned and looked directly into the camera. Jake dropped the tablet. The next day, Jake didn't speak much. He walked through the station like a man lost in thought, eyes half closed, mind somewhere else. But inside he was racing, that thing he saw on the camera. It was real. He hadn't imagined it. He hadn't been dreaming that someone was drinking the ship's fuel, and it wasn't human. Inside his small control room, Jake rewatched the footage, again and again. The figure was small, fast, slippery, glowing faintly blue. Its hands were thin, almost see-through, and the way it moved, not human, not robotic, not even animal. The eyes, those bright, glowing white eyes, looked straight into the camera, like it knew it was being watched. Jake hit pause. His finger hovered over the screen. There, a faint reflection in the fuel pipe. A face, half human, half something else. He leaned back and whispered, "What the hell are you?" Later that night, Jake returned to the ship. This time, he wasn't hiding. He was hunting. He placed a small trap near the fuel tank, just a harmless energy cage. Not enough to hurt, just enough to contain. Then he dimmed the lights and waited behind a stack of metal crates. Everything was silent. Until the air grew cold. Jake's wrist scanner beeped once. Just once. He checked. Temperature drop. -4 degrees Celsius. Jake. TENSED. Something was coming. A soft clicking sound echoed from the vent above. Drip, drip. The sound again. That same slow SLURPING. Jake held his breath. He peeked around the corner. She was there. Yes, he could tell now. It wasn't just a creature. It was a girl. A strange, alien girl. No older than 14 in human years. She had glowing skin like moonlight on water, and long silver hair that floated, like it didn't care about gravity. Her eyes were closed as she pressed her hands against the fuel pipe. The fuel moved out of the pipe and into her skin, like she was absorbing it, like the ship's energy was her food. Jake stood slowly. The trap was active. 1 step. 2 steps. Then snap. A tiny sound. The girl's eyes opened. Too late. The trap lit up, forming a blue circle of light around her. She jumped, hit the edge, and fell to the floor. Trapped. She looked up at Jake, frightened, but not angry, not wild. Just tired. Jake stepped forward slowly. "Who are you?" he asked. She said nothing. Her eyes glowed brighter for a second. Then, in a soft voice, she said, "Hungry." Jake blinked. "You speak English?" She nodded slowly. "A little. Learned from voices in your ship." Jake kneeled near the trap, studying her. She didn't seem dangerous, more like lost. He checked the fuel levels again, down 5%. "You've been drinking our fuel," he said. She lowered her head. "I need it. To live. No fuel, I fade." Jake stared at her, unsure what to do. She didn't blink. Didn't breathe. She just glowed. He turned off the trap. The circle vanished. She didn't run. Instead, she curled up near the pipe again, weak and shaking. "What's your name?" Jake asked. She looked up. "Rin. Where are you from, Rin?" Her voice was barely a whisper. "Nowhere." "Not anymore." Jake sat beside her. There were a million questions in his mind, but one kept echoing louder than the rest. "Are you alone?" Rin looked at him, and for a second, her eyes changed. Not just glowing afraid. "No," she said. "They're coming." Jake frowned. "Who's coming?" But Rin said nothing. She closed her eyes again, pressing her hands to the fuel pipe. The humming grew louder. Lights flickered, then silence. Outside the ship, on the far side of the station, a dark object floated just out of range. Black. Sleek. No lights. Inside it, something watched through a cracked display screen. Had seen the girl, and it was waiting. For the first time in a long while, Jake was speechless. He sat on the cold floor of the engine room, across from the strange alien girl. Her name was Rin. She didn't speak much. She didn't move much either. She just sat there, arms wrapped around her knees, glowing faintly in the dim light of the ship. The air smelled faintly of burnt metal and coolant. The power core behind them hummed softly. Jake kept looking at her hands, thin, long fingers covered in soft light. He had seen her touch fuel pipes and drink the fire inside. Jake finally spoke. "You're not like anything I've ever seen." Rin looked at him, her face calm but empty. "I'm not supposed to be seen." "Then how did you end up here?" She didn't answer at first. Her silver hair moved as if underwater. Her skin looked almost like liquid light. Then she spoke slowly, like each word was hard to find. "I escaped." Jake leaned forward. "Escaped from what?" She looked away. "From them. The ones who made me." Jake paused. "Made you?" Rin nodded, still not meeting his eyes. "I was made in a lab. Not born, not chosen, just built." Jake tried to understand. He had read about engineered life forms, biotech experiments. But this was different. She felt too real, too alive. "So you're artificial?" Rin looked at him sharply. "Do I look fake to you?" Jake shook his head quickly. "No, you don't." There was silence again. Jake stood up and walked over to the fuel pipe. He opened the small valve and let a stream of fuel pour into a glass container. He walked back to her. "Here, take it." She hesitated. "You're not scared I'll hurt you? You've had plenty of chances." "You didn't." She took the glass. As she touched it, the fuel inside began to glow. It didn't burn. It didn't explode. It just flowed into her skin like sunlight sinking into water. Jake watched, amazed. The fuel disappeared without a trace. No smoke. Number. Heat. No sound. Rin sighed deeply. Her glow grew brighter. Her eyes stopped flickering. For the first time she looked alive. "So you feed on energy?" Jake asked. Rin nodded. "My cells burn fusion. Like your engines. I need pure fuel to survive. It's like food for me." Jake tried to understand. "But why fuel? It's poison for us." "It's life for me." Jake rubbed his face, thinking. "Why are you here?" "On my ship?" Rin's voice dropped. "Because this was the only place I could hide. I ran when they shut the labs. I found a cargo pod. Hid inside. Your ship picked it up 2 weeks ago." Jake's heart sank. "You've been here that long?" "Yes, sleeping. Waking only when the fuel ran low." A warning beep sounded on Jake's wrist. He checked the scanner. Another 5% drop in the tank. But now he knew why. Now he knew who. And strangely, he wasn't angry. He was curious and maybe a little protective. Rin looked at him suddenly. "You should let me go. They will find me soon." Jake blinked. "Who?" She didn't answer. Instead, she stood and walked to the window. Beyond the glass, stars floated in silence. "They don't like escape. I'm not the first to try. But maybe I'm the first to get this far." Jake stepped beside her. "Are they human?" Rin shook her head. "Not fully. They build things, break things. Mix species like recipes." "They called me Project Ember." Jake stared. "Ember? Like fire?" "Because I burn." She raised her hand. A small flame flickered across her fingers. No fuel, no spark. Just pure energy. Dancing like a candle. Jake watched in silence. This girl, this alien girl, was holding a star in her hand. Suddenly, the lights flickered. Rin's eyes went wide. "They're close." Jake turned to his console. Power readings spiked for a second, then dropped. Outside the ship, far in the distance, something blinked. A signal, a pulse. Like sonar. Searching. Rin backed away from the window. "They found me." Jake clenched his fists. "Then we're not letting them take you." Rin looked at him, surprised. "You'd protect me?" "I'm an engineer," Jake said with a small smile. "But I fix more than ships." The engine room grew quiet again, but the hunt had already begun. Far across the station, dark figures moved in silence, and they weren't here for peace. Jake had a choice to make. He stood in front of the engine room door, staring at the control panel. hands frozen in mid-air. He could press one button and report everything. The cameras, the fuel loss, the alien girl. It would be the smart thing to do. The safe thing, but he didn't move. Behind him, Rin sat quietly, leaning against the wall, her eyes half closed. Her skin glowed just a little, not as bright as before. She looked tired, faded. Jake had seen machines break down, ships burn, and systems crash, but he had never seen a living being run out of energy like this. She wasn't just hiding. She was surviving. "Why don't you report me?" Rin asked softly. Jake turned to her. "I don't know." That was the truth. She was a stranger. She had stolen fuel. She was part of something dangerous. But she hadn't lied. She hadn't attacked. She had warned him. She trusted him. And now he had to decide if she was wrong to do so. Later, Jake sat in his private workshop. The station outside was busy as always. Cargo ships loading, android workers walking in lines, officers checking systems. But Jake's thoughts were somewhere else. He opened his console and pulled up the ship logs, fuel drops, temperature spikes, sensor errors. If someone else saw this data, they'd shut that ship down in seconds. He looked at the logs for a long time. Then he hit delete. That night, Jake returned to the ship with supplies, a small energy pack, a sealed fuel sample, a blanket, even a protein bar. He found Rin sitting near the vent where she had first entered. She looked up, surprised. Jake handed her the fuel sample. "This one's clean. Should help more than the old stuff." She took it carefully. Her fingers shimmered as the energy flowed through her. Her glow brightened. Color returned to her face. She looked at Jake. "Why are you helping me?" He sat down beside her. "Because I don't think you're the problem. I think you're running from it." Rin was quiet for a moment. Then she whispered, "They made me to hold power, to be used like a battery. But I wasn't the only one. There were others. Some couldn't control it. Some were just burned out." "Burned out?" Jake asked. She nodded. "Used until they died." Suddenly, Jake's wrist device buzzed. Incoming message. Station security alert. He tapped it. Unidentified. Energy spike detected. Dock Bay 4. All engineers to report for scanning and questioning. Jake's heart dropped. Dock Bay 4 was where his ship was. He looked at Rin. "They're scanning for energy." She stood quickly. Her glow faded down to almost nothing. "They found the signal. They'll trace it." Jake paced the room. "We need to hide you better. The engine room's not safe anymore." He opened a hidden panel behind the maintenance bay. A small crawl space dark. Sealed, shielded from scanners. "You'll be safe in here, just for now." Rin looked at him. "You don't have to do this." Jake gave a tired smile. Too late for that. Hours later, Jake stood in front of two station security officers. They wore black armor with silver masks, cold, silent. One of them scanned Jake's face. "You are assigned to the Echo Hawk?" "Yes," Jake replied calmly. The other one looked down at a glowing data pad. "There was a Class 3 energy signature near your ship. Are you aware of this?" Jake shook his head. "Could be from the power core. It's old, needs upgrades." The first officer stepped closer. "Open your ship. Full inspection." Jake nodded. "Of course, I'll guide you." For 30 minutes they searched. Every room, every vent, every pipe. Rin stayed hidden, silent as a shadow. When they left, Jake's shirt was soaked with sweat. One officer paused before leaving. "If you're hiding something, engineer, you won't get a second chance." Jake said nothing. The doors closed. That night, Jake opened the hidden panel again. Rin crawled out slowly. She looked pale, but alive. "They're not just searching," she whispered. "They're hunting." Jake nodded. "We have to leave the station." Rin looked at him with wide eyes. "They'll chase us. Then we'll fly faster," Jake replied. "Far away, outside the station. A sleek dark ship floated among the stars. Inside it, a creature watched a glowing screen. Her signal had been weak, but they had felt it. They were coming, not to bring her back, but to erase her. Space was never truly silent. It whispered in signals, echoes, energy waves, and they were listening. Jake stood near the station window, looking out at the black sky. Tiny lights blinked across the starships coming, going, but one light wasn't blinking. It sat still, cold, black, almost invisible. A ship with no name, no ID, no beacon. They had arrived. Back inside the Echo Hawk, Rin sat cross-legged in the storage bay. Glowing faintly, Jake handed her a small portable scanner. This reads, "Your energy signature. If it spikes above red, they'll track you." Rin looked at the scanner, then back at him. "I can hide it, for a while." Jake nodded. But he knew time was running out. They needed a plan. By midday, the station buzzed with tension. Security officers checked every ship docked in Bay 4. Black armored. Teams moved in silence. The air smelled like metal and fear. Jake saw one of them speaking in a strange tongue, short, sharp words that didn't sound human. He watched from a distance, gripping the handle of his tool bag tighter. Then he noticed something. One of the officers wasn't scanning ships. He was watching people. His eyes, hidden behind a visor, followed movement, studied behavior, like a predator choosing prey. Jake turned and walked away. Faster. Back on the ship, Jake activated the hidden panel. Rin crawled out. "They're here," he said. "Not just searching. They're watching, waiting." Rin lowered her head. "I told you they don't chase, they hunt." "Then we don't give them time," Jake said. "We leave, tonight." Rin's eyes widened. "But the ship is grounded." "No launch clearance." Jake gave a small smile. "I don't need permission to fly. I just need a distraction." That evening, Jake met with Lena, an old friend and one of the station's security techs. They spoke in low voices behind a maintenance bay. "You want what?" Lena asked, confused. "Just a 2-minute blackout. In Bay 4, tonight." "Jake, that's against protocol. I could lose my job." Jake looked her in the eye. "You ever see a life form that runs on fire?" Lena blinked. "No, I have. And she's being hunted, not by our laws, by something worse." Lena paused. Then slowly she nodded. Double quotes, 2 minutes, no more. Midnight. The station lights flickered. Then blackout. Just for 2 minutes. Enough. Jake sat in the pilot's seat. Rin stood behind him wearing an old mechanic's cloak, hood up. "Light hidden. Are you ready?" Jake asked. She nodded. The ship powered up with a low hum. Engines whispered. Shields rose. Launch clamps unlocked. As the blackout reached its final seconds, the Echo Hawk blasted off the dock. It slipped through the hangar doors just before lights returned. The black ship in orbit blinked. One word lit up in red. "Target moving." Inside the vessel, the lead hunter smiled. A slow, cold smile. "Let them run." He touched a panel. 3 more ships peeled off from the shadows. Sleek, silent, armed. The hunt had begun. In space, Jake gripped the controls tightly. "We're being followed." The eye warned 3 signals, fast. Armed. Rin stood beside him. "I can help," she said. She touched a cable running into the engine core. Energy surged. The ship jumped forward, speed increasing. Jake's eyes widened. "You're boosting the drive manually?" "I am the drive now," she whispered. The first hunter ship opened fire. Red beams sliced across the stars. The Echo Hawk dodged, barely missing the hit. Rin gritted her teeth. Her glow brightened. She touched another panel and part of the rear. Shields turned to liquid flame, melting one of the missiles mid-air. Jake laughed in disbelief. "You're a living reactor." "I'm more than they made me," she said. The chase moved through an asteroid field. Rocks spun and crashed. Jake weaved through them, one hunter ship crashed into a boulder gone and a burst of fire. 2 remained. Jake shouted, "I need one clean path. Just one." Rin nodded. She raised both hands, and light poured from her palms, forming a beam that vaporized small asteroids ahead, carving a narrow corridor. Jake flew through it. Behind them, another hunter ship clipped the rocks. Exploded. Only one remained. It was faster. Stronger. Smarter. "We can't outrun this one," Jake said. "We need to jump." Rin looked weak. "Not enough fuel for hyperspace." Jake stared at her. Then at the fuel port. Then at her. She understood. "You want to burn me?" "No. I want you to help me light the fire." She smiled, tired. "Okay, Jake, let's fly." Jake pulled the jump lever. Rin touched the fuel core with both hands. Light exploded through the cockpit. Engines roared like a dragon. And the Echo Hawk vanished into hyperspace, leaving the hunter behind. Silence returned. The black ship turned. Slowly. Its captain spoke 3 words. "They won't get far." Hyperspace was not light. It was sound. A low hum, like a voice from far away. Like the universe itself was breathing. Jake sat in the cockpit, staring at the endless swirl outside the ship. The Echo Hawk had made the jump, but barely. The controls sparked. Power flickered. Fuel was nearly gone. They were flying blind. But they were alive. Behind him, Rin lay curled up on the floor, glowing dimly. Her body shook. Her breath was shallow. Jake knelt beside her. "Hey," he said gently. "Talk to me. Are you okay?" She opened her eyes slowly. "Used too much," she whispered. Jake looked at her hands. The glow was faint now, like a fire almost out. He grabbed the emergency fuel cell and held it near. She reached for it with trembling fingers. The moment she touched it, the light in her eyes grew just a little brighter. Not much, but enough. The ship shook violently. Jake rushed back to the pilot. "Seat, warning, system damage. Navigation offline. Exit in 30 seconds, the AI announced. "Where are we landing?" he asked. "Unknown. Coordinates unstable." Jake sighed. Figures. The Echo Hawk dropped out of hyperspace with a sudden jolt. Blackness turned into stars. Stars became moons. One moon became bigger and bigger too fast. Jake pulled the controls hard. "Brace!" The ship spun. Smoke poured from the vents. And then impact. Dust. Silence. Then a soft alarm. Jake opened his eyes, coughing. The ship had landed. Barely. Outside the broken window, he saw red sand, jagged rocks, and a cold, pale sky. A dead moon. No cities, no people. No life. Just quiet. Jake unbuckled and limped toward the back. Rin was still breathing, but weaker now. He sat beside her and placed his hand over hers. "We're safe." "For now." She looked at him, her voice dry. "Not for long." Hours passed. Jake worked outside the ship, trying to patch the hull. The wind howled. Sharp and dry. The power core was unstable. Fuel almost zero. He returned inside, sweat and sand. On his face, Rin sat near the engine, legs crossed, eyes half closed. She was meditating, or maybe saving energy. Jake handed her a small canister of water. She shook her head. "Doesn't help me." Jake smiled sadly. "Wish it did." "Why do you help me?" She asked again. Jake sat down beside her. "I think I told you before, because you're not the problem." She nodded slowly, then looked up at the ceiling. "I never saw stars until I escaped." "You've never been on a planet?" "Only labs, only lights. I thought the sky was just a ceiling." Jake didn't know what to say. So he just sat with her. 2 runaways, one human, one not. Both broken. Both tired. But alive. That night, they sat on the hull of the ship. The moon sky was strange deep purple with glowing rings across the stars. Rin's glow returned. Just a little, as she absorbed faint solar energy. Jake pointed at a bright dot in the sky. "See that? That's Vega Station." My home once, Rin smiled. Do you miss it? Jake thought for a moment. No, not anymore. She leaned against his shoulder. Suddenly, the silence broke. A sharp tone from the AI. Incoming signal. Unknown source. Tracking. Beacon detected. Jake jumped down from the hull. Inside. A red light blinked on the scanner. They found us. He ran to Rin. We need to move, now. She stood slowly, still weak. Outside. A dark shape moved across the sky. A ship, sleek, quiet, landing. Nearby, the last hunter. Jake grabbed a plasma torch and stepped toward the door. Rin stopped him. No. I'll go. Are you crazy? I won't let them hurt you too. Jake shook his head. We do this together. She stared at him long and deep, then nodded. Together. Outside. Dust blew across the cold ground. The hunter stepped forward. Tall, armored, no face. He raised his weapon. Jake raised his torch. But before either could speak, Rin stepped forward. Her hands lit up. Not fire, not light, something deeper. Pure energy. The hunter paused. He spoke in a metallic voice. Return with me. Or burn out alone. Rin shook her head. No more cages. You are a tool. A power cell, nothing more. I am a person. The fee. Hunter raised his weapon. Jake shouted. Now Rin. Rin exploded with light. Not fire, not heat, a wave. A pulse. A scream of freedom. The hunter flew backward, crashing into his ship. His system sparked. Rin dropped to her knees. Jake caught her just before she fell. The hunter's ship lit up, taking off again. Retreating. Silence returned. Jake held her in. His arms. Her glow faded slowly. Did we win? She asked weakly. Jake smiled. For now. They looked up at the stars together. Broken, tired, but not hunted anymore. Just two sparks, lost in the galaxy. The dead moon was silent again, but not peaceful. Smoke curled from the hillside where the last hunter had fallen. His ship had retreated into the sky, leaving behind a trail of black. Inside the broken Echo Hawk, Jake sat beside Rin. She was barely glowing now. Her skin, once bright like stars, had dulled to a pale shimmer. Her hands trembled when she moved. Her voice had grown thin. He held a cracked tablet in one hand, scanning the systems. No fuel. No signal. No engine. He looked at her. And you. You need more than I can give. Rin gave a small smile. You already gave me more than anyone ever did. Outside, the cold wind blew over red dust. They had fixed the ship as much as possible. But it was not enough. The moon had no resources, no cities, no help, just rocks, cold sky, and time. Jake stood on the hull again, watching the stars. One of them blinked. Then another. Not natural. He grabbed the binoculars and zoomed in. 3 ships, sleek, dark, approaching fast. More were coming. The hunter had called for backup. This time, they wouldn't send one. They would send an army. Back inside, Rin stood at the engine core. Her hand rested against the damaged fuel port. The walls around her pulsed slowly with faint light. Jake entered. They're coming, she nodded. Then this has to end. We can't outrun them this time. We don't need to, she said. Jake stepped closer. What do you mean? She turned, eyes glowing brighter than before. I was made to burn. To power cities, weapons, engines. But no one ever asked if I could power a message. Jake stared. You want to send a signal? Not just a signal, a call. A memory, a warning. Rin moved to the center of the ship. She touched the floor. The lights flickered, then brightened. She sat cross-legged, hands open, palms up. The ship began to hum. Jake stepped back, afraid. What are you doing? Using the last of my energy, she said softly. To do what? She looked up, to tell the stars I was here. Outside, the enemy ships came closer. Within minutes, they would land. Inside, the walls of the ship glowed brighter and brighter. Jake. watched as Rin's body became light itself. Her hair lifted. Her voice echoed not just in his ears, but in the walls, the metal, the sky. I was built in a cage, fed fire, taught to obey. But I learned something stronger than heat. Stronger than power. I learned kindness. I learned choice. And now I choose to burn for something better, Jake shouted. Rin, stop. If you do this, she looked at him, smiling. I'm not dying, Jake. I'm becoming. A flash, not fire, not flame, but a spark dot. It rose through the ship, through the broken metal, into the sky. The enemy ships paused, their scanners jammed. Their lights blinked. Their systems froze. The spark flew higher, brighter, faster. Then it exploded, not with noise but with light. A silent wave rippled across the stars. Every ship in orbit went dark. Every signal tower stopped. Every hunter lost his target. And across deep space, others heard it, a signal, a voice, a girl made of fire. Saying, I'm free. When Jake opened his eyes, the sky was clear. No ships. No sound. No war. Just stars. He stood, blinking in the light. The ship was cold and still, the fuel core empty. Rin was gone, but in her place, carved into the control panel, were 4 words. Burn bright. Live free. Jake touched the words gently. Then looked up at the stars. He whispered, You did it, kid. Months later, at Vega Station, a strange signal arrived. Not coded, not a threat, just music, a hum. A wave of light. And with it, a map. To a place not marked on any star chart. Somewhere new, somewhere safe, a place where fireborn beings might call home. And in the deep parts of the galaxy, others like Rin began to wake, some still hidden, some already free, all glowing. All remembering the girl who sparked the way.